So this email was actually described a private owner gave it to Cardinal Stretch University in Milwaukee. The university was then bought out by St. Augustine's Prep School, and then St. Augustine Prep School then gave it to me. So all of that, that's the succession and provenance of an object. Now today we're going to talk about our family objects and things that we had in our family. So I have a Morgan silver dollar from 1884. And I'm going to pass it around, and we're going to talk a little bit about it as an example. So this is actually the coin that I received as a kid, and it's over 200 years old, and it's from 1884. And then after you see it, you can pass it around. So that's the coin. So we're like, how did this coin get here? How did we even get a chance to see the coin? Well, this is a picture of my family. So the coin belonged to, I don't know if you guys can see it, my aunt Eliza Flurid. So that's my aunt Eliza, and that's her husband Ned Flurid. So they're the original owners of the coin, and then they gave it to me. I'm a little baby way off in the corner. That's me. So that's how I received it. So now we're going to do a little bit about, how we came through with the mask. We talked about, what it's from, what it looks like, all of that. So I think we're going to the coin. So the coin is from 1884. The materials, or the medium, is 90% silver, 10% cotton. Who thought it was 100% silver? It was a silver dollar. Who thought it was 100% silver? Well, actually, it's not 100% silver. 90% silver with 10% copper, so that way it can be sturdy. And the guy who designed it is named Morgan, which is why it's the Morgan silver dollar. And at the time of accessory, so it was a gift to me from my aunt Eliza. Now, deconcessioning, that's another term. That means, do I want to get rid of it? Remember, we had a list of somebody gave it to someone gave it to somebody else. That's deconcessioning. Well, do I want to get rid of it right now? Probably not. But that can be an option. So there's how do I find out more about Aunt Eliza? Because I understand about the coin. Well, let's hear about the person behind it. So I my dad. So that's actually a picture of my dad back in the day, 1970s, with the afro. So I called him, and I found out that Aunt Eliza is married to Ned. But then the story behind her is she was actually born in 1895. So you guys remember about the slavery and all the things that happened in the 1800s? She was born in 1895 and lived until 1999. So she was 103 when she died. She was from Alabama. Anybody have family in Alabama or been to Alabama? She was from Northport, Alabama, and she also lived in Milwaukee. And then I'll go into a little bit about her story of how she got here. But her parents were actually Chad Jenkins. He was born in 1860. You guys remember the dates for slavery? 1860. He was born actually in 1860 and lived in 1929 to Mary Willis. Married and all of that. So now this coin belonged to someone whose family can be traced back to slavery, which you guys just went through. And then the story about Eliza. So I called my dad and I was like, tell me a little bit about Aunt Eliza. So she eloped with Ned. They were kids. She eloped, and the family did not want them to get married in Alabama, but she married him anyway. And he worked as a miner. That's all I know. I don't know what mines are in Alabama, so that could be something else that we can research if there's something there. And then all of a sudden, the family wasn't sure because I noticed his leg is lost. So I'm like, well, how did he lose his leg? Nobody knows. So that's another thing in the story that we don't understand. her meal for him to the dog. And because the dog ate the meal she prepared, that was her last straw, and she moved from Northport, Alabama. She moved to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And then later in life, I was visiting her husband Ned, who was in a senior center at that time, who moved back to Milwaukee. So this is an interesting story that just from a little coin, I don't know who has it now. Has everybody seen it? Okay. From a little coin, you find out all about history. So what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about, you think about the history too, not about, okay, what have they seen in their life? So they saw slavery, the 1860s, the Emancipation Proclamation in 1865, and then by 1865, the First Amendment. So these are some of the facts you learned during the tour. So now we're going to talk about family objects. So these are some of the things that you may or may not have in your home that may strike a memory, and we're going to do a little exercise and then share that. So one is the Morgan silver dollar. So I have a couple of examples on the table if you want to research more about the silver dollar, or maybe you have one in your family. Quilt. Does anybody have the old grandma quilt at home or an old blanket? Yeah, okay. We have a ring. Does anybody have an old family ring or something in their family, or their mom or something, or necklace? Yeah. Recipes. Now this holiday, does anybody have a recipe that they use that their grandma made them? Okay. So that's actually a picture of my dad and my aunt Jack in the 70s. My dad actually pledged fraternity at Omega Psi Phi in the early 70s. So that's actually a picture of him right after he became a Q or a fraternity. But you may have people in your family who are in fraternities. I'm actually an AKA. I don't know if anybody else. Okay. So you talk about things are you, your history. Maybe your mom was AKA, maybe your grandmother was an AKA, or maybe your daughter was. And then I have an African drum here. I don't have a lot of information on this piece. So if you're curious and you want to research an actual artifact, you can take the drum and then do some research on your phone and find out either that drum or another drum that you're interested in the background. I also have, I have a Bible. Does anybody pass down Bibles in their family? Okay, Bible. That's actually my husband's letter jacket from 1991. So, does anybody play sports or have a basketball jersey, or cousin or brother have basketball or something jersey? You can research him, what games he played, what did he do, did they win the state or championship? A medal, that's a Purple Heart from World War II. My grandfather actually fought in World War II, so that's something you can do it on. A pocket watch, that's been in my family for a while, not this particular one, but pocket watches. And then we already have a couple people in the room who understand the 70s chair. So 70s chair, back in the day, that was a thing. And then couch fashion doll. I actually had a couch fashion doll when I was little. So these are just some of the things. So what we're going to do is there should be a sheet at your table where it's called, where you basically what we're going to do is you guys are going to become mini curators. And so there should be some apples on your table, and if you want one, if you guys want the same one, I can give you another one. But come up with an item that resonates with you. But if you have a story, if you don't have all the information, that's fine. You can always ask a relative, but I had to ask my dad and my cousin about my aunt. And then see if there's something else maybe that you want to research any of the other items here. So I'm going to let you guys have about 20 minutes or 10, 15 minutes or to kind of do that. I do have soundtracks and Afrobeats music, which is like African music, is more upbeat, that we're going to play, and then we're going to go around the table and then just share what you feel like sharing. And okay, and we'll get started in a little bit. Oh, before I go, is there any questions or anything else, any other feedback or any other things based on what I was talking about that you want to discuss?
have more objects, I mean, more of these, like this table too, if they
Do you
want.
want, okay, does anybody want another one? Okay, so you want you guys pick one. There's a doll. Do you have a doll at home you want to talk about? Or you have, a blanket at home or a figure stuffed at home? Or a pet? So what, or a book? Do you have a book you like to read? Do you want to think about the book? You can use this as an example of a book. Or you can work with somebody else. You want to work with somebody? Then we can help you too. Is there something you're thinking about? Or you can do something else that's not even related to this. If there's something else, like your t-shirt, you like Lilo and Stitch. So why don't you do it on Lilo and Stitch? And how old were you when you started watching? Okay. You have a pocket watch? Okay, good. So you can both do pocket watch. So yeah, there's no right or wrong answer, and you can fill it out as much as you can. And you guys can write through it together. Do you need help? Do you want to put it together? So like, is there an activity that you have in one or just okay. You can Google it, so African travel, or you can make up a story about it. Yeah, so like what object is it? So you want the drum? So put African drum. Oh, that's okay. And then they have some information on it, so you can kind of use this or the past and current. So then it says the date. So it's 20th century. And then materials, has some materials here. And then the child is like, I don't know that, but they don't know. Yeah, it's right there. Yeah. Yeah, I am too. Got it from, you say, yes, and then, I got it.